Good afternoon, friends. Nayaswami Hriman here from Camano Island at the Camano Hermitage, overlooking Port Susan towards Mount Baker. And today we continue with number 5 of 75 quatrains from Omar Khayyam's Rubaiyat. And as explained by Paramahansa Yogananda and as edited by Swami Kriyananda. So let's first listen to Swami Kriyananda singing this verse as translated. Let me find this. Here we go. Ready?
Stanza 5. Iram indeed is gone with all its rose, and Jamshid's 7-ringed cup where no one knows. But still the vine her ancient ruby yields, and still a garden by the water blows.
Let me read that now to you. This is quatrain 5, stanza 5 from the Rubaiyat. Iram indeed is gone with all its rose, and Jamshid's 7-ringed cup where no one knows. But still the vine her ancient ruby yields, and still a garden by the water blows. This is the paraphrase given by Yogananda. He says, Iram is the sense-conscious mind. Iram indeed is gone with all its rose, meaning the sense-conscious mind has disappeared, as it were, with all its various sense cravings and material desires. The kingly soul, Jamshid, 7-ringed cup where no one knows, a 7-ringed cup. 7 rings represent, he says, the 7 chakras. So Iram is gone because Iram, the meditator, is now inwardly entranced, as it were, among the 7 chakras in meditation, and the in the cup of the spine, the receptacle of the spine. But still the vine her ancient ruby yields. The vine and ancient ruby is the bliss and the many other aspects and qualities of internalized consciousness in the astral body. And still a garden by the water blows. And so the blossoms of soul qualities. You see among the 7 chakras, the inner spinal essences, the essences of consciousness that make it possible for the human body to be born and to be sustained, each have certain qualities about them. Now, in his commentary, Yogananda explains that just as yesterday when Padma read quatrain 4, it was to urge the devotee not to waste time, that among the first inklings of spiritual recollectedness and inspiration, to get down to business, as it were, and not let the moment of inspiration pass, for as a thief in the night comes that inspiration to be still and know. And so what he talks about here is the importance of going within. But the first stage of going within is, as any person who is trained in yoga practice or the art and science of meditation knows, is to relax. And in fact, deep in meditation, a person looks very relaxed and maybe to some eyes, maybe not even alive, particularly if they're deep into a meditative trance. In any case, the first stage of our awakening is to withdraw from the senses, to withdraw from the periphery of the body, to withdraw from outward activities, to withdraw from ego-active thoughts and emotions, and enter the sacred temple of the astral body, the astral spine, the energetic spine especially, and move up that spine to the highest centers. Now, that process of relax, in fact, in the book, landmark book by Swami Kriyananda, the Awaken to Superconsciousness, he describes meditation in a very useful manner, paradoxical or what have you, but he says meditation is the upward relaxation into superconsciousness. Paramahansa Yogananda devised a series of 39 movements with tension in the body that he eventually called the energization exercises that are taught as part of the path of Kriya Yoga that he taught and brought to the West, and are excellent. A similar form of relaxation is accomplished by the more traditional practice of yoga postures. But in any case, it's very, very helpful, in fact, essential to deep meditation that we begin with relaxation. That relaxation can be physical, of course. It can also be, importantly, not also, it also has to be emotionally, relaxation from emotions, relaxation from mental thoughts. And so, not surprisingly, at the end of this particular quatrain, Swami Kriyananda adds an editorial comment as he describes it. But in this quote comment, he gives a very simple guided meditation. He says, here's a good way to relax the body. Breathe slowly, deeply, rhythmically. Several times. Then inhale quickly, tensing the whole body. Throw the breath out. Relax the whole body. Do that several times, he says. Then sit quietly. Think of the body as consisting of space. Visualize yourself surrounded by infinite space and infinite stillness. Keep the spine straight and the body erect during meditation to facilitate the upward flow of energy to the brain. And so these first quatrains are kind of the beginning of the soul's awakening. And here Omar is saying that, like they say in the Bhagavad Gita, day is night to the yogi and night is day to the yogi. Meaning that the spiritual path, especially the inner path of meditation, obviously, is one of, at least first, withdrawing from the world. Some people, when they see a family member or imagine other people or even walk by and see people meditating, at first it seems to the worldly mind, to the untrained mind, to be even selfish. Ignoring your family members, going off to your room early instead of sitting there watching TV or gossiping or something and sitting to pray and meditate might strike some people as being somewhat selfish. And yet it puts us in touch with strength, courage, confidence, joy, etc. The qualities, the noble qualities that make life worth living, and which, surprisingly, at least to some, allow us to expand our hearts to include other people in a compassionate and accepting kind of way. And so that's what is meant by that night is day and day is night to the yogi, which is to say that the path of meditation looks just the opposite, is just the opposite of what it looks like, you see. And that can also be extended to the spiritual path at large. In the Whispers from Eternity that Padma and I just finished many months of reading every day in these broadcasts, there are poems in the back that we didn't focus on, but and they're all very long. One of them is a poem, I haven't read it for years, but talks about a young man and how he is filled with the life and vitality of having a young body and a new life, and how it is that to the world his choice of the spiritual path, of meditation, perhaps even a life of renunciation as a monk, let's say, is to throw away the gifts of the pleasures of life with his young body, with his potential to achieve material success in the world through intelligence and hard work and talents and so forth. And again, the night is day, day is night. You see, when, or put another way, I recall, this is a traditional teaching, but it's also written in the autobiography of a yogi. He says, to one who leaves or does not embrace family life, worldly life, to a monk, let's just say, that it is incumbent spiritually and dharmically upon such a one, speaking generally now, to adopt the much broader family of all souls, or a more broader family in service, such as a spiritual family as opposed to a biological family. And thus it is that all spiritual qualities have in the beginning, as Yogananda put it in the book Essence of Self-Realization, he says the path of spirit, the path of virtue, at first looks like it's bitter, giving up things, let's just say, whereas the path of pleasure in the world seem to bring the honey of excitement, stimulation, and pleasure. But in the end, give us only bitterness, remorse, regret, and poison. So this is something that the initial devotee, the aspiring devotee and meditator, has to confront in himself, which on the great battlefield of Kurukshetra, the devotee Arjuna had to confront the need to do battle with his lower self. And so it is that even though many people seek the spiritual path to achieve peace from conflict in their lives, from regrets, from hurts and suffering, etc., peace is just the beginning. The herald of peace governs the first chakra in the astral body and brings us peace when we withdraw from the conflicting efforts of one-upmanship to pleasure the body and to gain superiority over the events of the world and our circumstances. And so the first thing we experience on the spiritual path is this relaxation that Omar is talking about, and it brings peace. But as Jesus said, I come not to bring peace, I bring a sword, meaning the sword of discrimination. And so this relaxation, which is the beginning of the path, also requires a certain degree of discipline, of turning one's back on the ordinary pursuits of the worldly mind and the senses. And this creates, the devotee has to work through this, because in the beginning there might be, in fact, there often are blessings that we achieve when we first come on the spiritual path, but it's not very long after that, not long, for example, after the honeymoon of a marriage, when you have to do the hard work, when you have to prove yourself, you have to, what is love that is not tested? And so what is spiritual resolve that isn't tested? So this relaxation then yields peace, but brings to us a sword. And that's in effect the second chakra of wisdom that is yielded. And throughout the Rubaiyat, we're going to experience different nuances of that sword of discernment, that sword of wisdom that helps us discern night from day and day from night and so on. So we thank Omar for his wisdom and the beauty of his poetry. After all, look back at this. Would you have come up with this commentary out of these words? Yaram indeed is gone with all its rose, and Jamshahid's 7-ring cup where no one knows. But still the vine her ancient ruby yields, and still a garden by the water blows. In other words, to exchange the higher pleasures, the higher satisfactions of the soul for the lower satisfactions of the body. It would not have been easy for most of us to have interpreted, to have seen, to discern that meaning from this quatrain. We are much blessed. Okay, great souls, tomorrow's Friday. You get Padma back, and I'm going to sign off. Let this render itself out into the internet.